It's time for Aggrochat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggernaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of Aggrochat. We are recording tonight, Saturday, June 7th, and usually we get it up on Sunday. I thought I might start adding that in case people wonder when it gets recorded. This is episode 9, I believe. Is that correct? Well, wonders never cease. We actually have our full group tonight.
Yay!
Hi, Ray!
Hi.
Ray doesn't hate us. She's actually here. We have Kodra.
Hello.
And we have a very tired Ash.
Hello.
So, it's been a kind of a crazy week. I'm pretty exhausted myself, but that's for non-gaming reasons. Let's run down what we've been doing. Ray, what have you been doing this week?
Wildstar.
Surprise, surprise, surprise. Anything else?
It's your fault.
It's always your fault.
We had a League of Legends night, and aside from that, I've mostly been trying to chill out and spend
Play
some time away
Magic
from
the
the computer.
Gathering with yourself.
Oh yeah, that too.
Which is also my fault.
Yes, very much so.
It's all your fault.
It's all my fault. Kodra, what have you been up to?
I have been playing a very little bit of Wildstar. I played a little bit of ESO. I played in the Thursday night League night, which was a lot of fun. I've played a little bit further into my Final Fantasy V run, and I played 2 tournaments worth of My Little Ponies prepping for Origins.
How's that going?
So the My Little Pony scene's weird, and maybe we can talk about it in a little bit.
I am down with that. Ash, Sleepy Ash.
I'm sleepy because I just got back from Richmond.
Yeah, you kind of had a lightning trip this weekend.
This week actually.
Yeah.
Wednesday to Friday.
Oh God, you left that early? For some reason I was thinking it was just a weekend thing, but I guess that's true. What have you been up to, game-wise? Have you done any gaming?
Bit of Wildstar. Bit of actually Breath of Fire 4.
Cool.
It was recommended to me, and I already had it.
On the
so I figured
3DS?
I might as well play it. On the Vita, actually.
Oh, the Vita. Cool.
On PSN.
Let's see. Myself, I've been playing a little bit of ESO. I also participated in the League Beginner Night, and I'm not even sure if that's an adequate name, because really, when I'm the most beginnery of beginners that we had this week, I guess Dalian. Dalian is a straight-up beginner.
Dalian is, and Forsaken is, although Forsaken is much better at that game than any beginner has any right to be.
Forsaken is really good at everything he plays, but the whole idea behind it is not necessarily beginner night, but mostly just a low-pressure night of League, to where you can hop in and play for a while, and nobody's going to scream at you, nobody's going to, do anything crass or cruel, and it's working really well. So, especially if you're in the Alliance of Awesome community, you should totally check out our Thursday night League action.
If you've ever been like, hey, this League sounds interesting, but I've heard the community is terrible, well, first, you're right, and second, this is our answer to that.
Yeah, we're making a safe little cocoon where people can play freely, and it's pretty awesome. It's kind of what I've wanted to do for League for a while, because I like League, I just don't like playing with random strangers. Of course, I've been playing a hell of a lot of Wildstar, and we'll talk about my reverse of my feelings about that game later, but I really don't know what all's been going on this week, because my week has been mostly centered around trying to figure out how to play Wildstar. Is there any big news this week?
I don't think...
Everything's delayed to 2015?
Yeah, everything is delayed. Our news tonight is delayed to 2015.
That's true.
Maybe we're going to get some interesting news out of E3 next week, but...
Hope so.
Hopefully.
I thought it was weird that there were some absences from E3, it sounded like.
Apparently FF15 won't be there.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, I expected that to be playable at E3.
I didn't.
Really?
No. I don't think that game is ever coming out.
It's been in the hopper for...
It'll be out right before
like 5 years.
Half-Life 3.
No. It'll that game will be great when it's FF16.
It's been renamed twice, so what the hell?
Oh man.
Then I guess Nintendo is only going to have a partial showing, it sounded like.
Nintendo does weird stuff.
Yeah.
They did weird stuff last year, but they still introduced Link Between Worlds. So
Although,
I'm okay with whatever
speaking
Nintendo
of
does.
Nintendo, I think it's kind of cool that they're totally going to allow tournament play of Super Smash Brothers or whichever Smash Brothers version they're going to play, since they have been so weird about people on the internet showing the playing of their game.
They seem to be getting over it. Like they let Melee go to Evo this year, which is amazing,
Well,
really.
It's maybe they realize that they're killing themselves by not embracing the internet. I don't know.
Maybe they've come to realize that the internet is not a fad that is going away.
It was a fad, and everyone is going to play Wii instead. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool, like that they're finally starting to embrace that. I mean, they're years behind, but hey,
I did find out that the online system on Wii U allows you to friend people by name.
That's weird.
Which is like a giant step forward.
Yeah, but or like account name or like person's like actual name.
Account name.
Okay, that
like
that kind of
normally
worried me for a second.
The way everyone else does it.
Yeah, for a second I was like, no, wait, so people could just type in your real name and friend you? That was kind of freaky.
This isn't WoW.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm glad they're maybe going to be stepping away from random numbers that no one ever remembers.
They keep talking about bringing the account system to the 3DS, but it just hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like next week we're probably going to have a lot of stuff to talk about from E3.
Most likely.
I will not be around because I will be at Origins.
And you will be kicking some ass. So why don't you tell us about the My Little Pony community, since you mentioned it earlier?
Oh, well, so it's the My Little Pony card game is what I play. And recently, Set 2 was released, Canterlot Knights. And with it, there was a couple of cards that really looked like they would enable combos, and sure enough, they did. So there's on the subreddit for the My Little Pony card game, there's an article, and I don't know, it's probably way off the front page by now, but of a deck that would basically win in a single turn. And it takes about 6 turns to reliably go off. But because of the way My Little Pony works, it's really hard to score more than a certain number of points in a single round. And like 6 turns in is kind of about a step ahead of most aggro decks. And Control doesn't have a great answer to it. Like there are some ways that Control really helps it. You can really control it with heavy discard, but there are apparently decks that are good answers to that. Anyways, so the issue is that this combo deck is a combo whose entire intention is to play through your entire deck repeatedly. So you essentially, to win with this combo, you have to play through every single card in your deck about 5 times, and that means your turn that you go off takes 25 minutes, and it's very boring to sit through. But it's a very strong combo. Like, I played against it on Friday night. I can attest it's a good combo. It's very, very boring, but you don't really have any options. You just wait and watch it inevitably beat you over the course of like 25 minutes.
So this is like the My Little Pony version of a mill, is kind of what it sounds like. No,
this is My Little Pony version of a combo deck, like Channel Fireball type combo,
or like a storm type thing.
Yeah, a storm type. It's a better example. The magic comparison is actually the eggs deck, if you're familiar with that.
Okay, yeah.
And okay, so eggs decks. It plays a bunch of 1-cost artifacts and will use stuff like Lotus Blooms to come into play off of spells like Second Sunrise or Reshape, and get mana that way, and then it keeps playing through its deck over and over and over again with a whole lot of cantrips. Pay 1, do a small effect, draw a card. And it just keeps playing through its deck until it eventually kills you with 10 Pyrite spell bombs. Yeah, it's a deck that takes a long time to go off, and the combo is pretty reliable once you get it all going.
Yeah, and I think the first version of this was the Rook Egg deck long time ago, where basically it involved discarding these eggs, and then once they were in the graveyard, you could do something later on with them to bring a bunch of creatures in at the same time.
Yeah, so anyways, it's a combo that you cannot just say, I go off to an infinite. You actually have to play it out over the course of a bunch of painstaking playthroughs of your deck. And yeah, it's very, very dull to sit through. Anyway, so when I heard about this deck, my first reaction was, okay, how do I beat it? Because I don't want to play it. That's not interesting to me. I want to figure out how to beat it. And my answer was, I came up with 2 decks. One is an aggro deck, which might be fast enough to beat it, and the other is a deck. So one of the requirements is this deck wins by playing these cards that target your friends. And friends are basically your creatures. But you always start with one special creature in play for the Magic players. It's called your main pony. And so in this deck's case, it's Twilight Sparkle. The way you can score points by playing your main character and a bunch of friends to problems, but you can also score points by defeating troublemakers. And most troublemakers in this game, when you play them, they can only be defeated by your opponent. However, there are some troublemakers that are special. They're called villains, and they block the problem for both players, which means both players can confront them. So I have a deck that is a perfectly reasonable control deck that could theoretically win by doing nothing but defeating villains with its main character. And because that deck exists, I can say, okay, I can run this deck, and most of the times I'll play other decks and win, but if I play combo, I'll play a very specific way such that they don't have any valid targets for their combo.
It will be really interesting to see how this plays out.
It will, but the answer is actually looking like, from Big Apple Con, it looks like no one's actually running this combo deck. For some reason, it's not showing up. What I'm hearing is there's a lot of Royal Guidance getting played, which the deck I was thinking of building to counter combo is not good against Royal Guidance. That's one of its weaker matchups. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to run this Rush deck. This they call it RDW because it's Rainbow Dash Wins. So I am probably going to be playing that at Origins. But it's an interesting thing with the meta. I'm going to probably bring both decks, and if my first flight is just super heavy on combo, I'll play a second flight with the control deck.
It'll be interesting to see how it works out for you. And I'm sure not next week, but the week after next, we'll get a rundown of how it went.
Yep.
Very cool. So you'll be out at Origins next week. We'll be talking about E3 stuff. Another thing that happened this week, other than the very obvious thing that we all talked about earlier, is, I guess, the World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor Alpha started, and a bunch of press and such are now in, and I guess they've decided that they're not going to have an NDA, which is kind of interesting.
They didn't have much of an NDA before. I mean, Animal Champion report on every single thing that went into the friends and family.
It's true. Well, and they kind of played it weirdly this time, that they gave everyone the alpha client. Like, if you have WoW, it downloads the alpha client. Without you having access to it, it just downloads it. So I guess they figure somebody's going to give away their stuff anyway, so might as well let everyone data mine it. It's just, I find it interesting because after years of, like, I've been in Friends and Family Alpha before, and there were always, first rule of Friends and Family Alpha is you don't talk about Friends and Family Alpha, and apparently that's not the case anymore. It's interesting because people are already streaming it. One of my friends, Kelrick, has a YouTube channel and has been streaming over Twitch, like, her entire time playing, and honestly, I'm sure this is all, chicanery, but it doesn't look terribly far along. There's like a lot of placeholder content. You can only play the Horde right now. Only one zone is open, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But their timing was funny. I think they released it on. Yeah, well, I expected it to, because Tuesday was the launch of Wildstar.
Officially, yes.
Officially. And Friends of Family Alpha was Thursday, I think. So I was expecting it the day of Wildstar launch, but apparently no. Anyway, it's more stuff that's out there, and it's a little bit interesting the way that they're doing it, but we'll see how that plays out. Any other major news this week?
Can't really think of any.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say it was pretty quiet for the most part.
Yeah, I was pretty much focused on Wildstar, to be honest, and most
I was
people...
gone.
Yeah, Ash was gone. But you did play quite a bit of Wildstar.
I did play a fair bit of Wildstar before I left.
So, the thing that I find interesting is how much I am enjoying Wildstar. And I did not really enjoy it in beta. And I kind of just picked it up and thought I'd give it a shot based on my experience with Final Fantasy XIV, actually. I didn't want really to play that game, but a lot of friends were playing it, and I turned out having a really good time. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe Wildstar will be the same way, and it has totally been the same way. I have really enjoyed it so far, but I can't really put my finger on why.
So at what point did you start really enjoying it?
After 10, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once you get off
the thing I kept hearing is in fact correct. The game is much more entertaining after like 10 or 12.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, and especially once you get out of the first area. I feel like the ship is horrible.
Bloodfire Village and the corresponding starting area are less than great.
They're less than great, but Crimson Isle is less horrible than Elevar, or not Elevar, but Levian.
Levian Bay.
Yeah, but they're still pretty unimaginative, and it's not really until you get to Daradoon and Elevar that you start seeing what I would call the real game. So things start to open up there.
I have 2 characters at the end of Levian Bay.
Okay.
And I finished that point, and I was like, well, I'm moving on to this next zone, and I started trying to get started with it, and I just I lost interest quickly.
You have just stated my entire beta experience.
That's mine too. I totally played Levian Bay and started Elevar on every single character, and it wasn't
Crimson
until
Isle too. But even still, I got kind of bored. Start of Bloodfire, start of Daradoon rather.
Right. It wasn't really until I got to Daradoon and finished, left Bloodfire Village, which is the first area, that the game started to feel really cool. And I think maybe if I would get out of Light's Reach, I would like Elevar as well.
I feel like I have a lot to experience now because I bought the game after playing a character to level 7.
So
yeah,
what about your experience? I mean, honestly, Ray, because you're pretty fresh to it. You didn't play beta, did you?
Nope. I assumed that this is another game. If I don't like it, it's going to be a waste of time. If I do like it, then that's going to be less time that I'm going to have to do other things like sleep and dress myself.
Sleeping is overrated.
No, sleeping is highly valuable.
Yeah, but
right now you want sleep.
About you.
There are other times when you agree with me.
It's true. But now is not one of those times.
But anyway, you're pretty fresh to the game. What has your experience been?
Well, it's everything feels really fluid. I mean, once I got used to the interface and figured out, okay, this means I'm supposed to go here and do something, and I'm paying more attention to the clues given in the text. Use an item on this versus kill it. And I don't know, the races are charming. I've found in a lot of games, I always tend towards the human races because I don't want to feel weird and alien, but there's just something about the Makari and the Arin, and I feel okay playing these weird things, and I actually like it better than playing the humans. And the combat is awesome because, especially on my Stalker, I never thought I would enjoy playing a melee character ever. But
it's been fun watching you play melee. I have to say though that the Stalker is probably the best version of a WoW rogue I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it's not. I like the fact that you can hit multiple targets at once because then it's not, oh, do I focus this one thing down? No, I just spam my buttons and things die.
Yeah.
The stealth mechanic is really awesome because I think that was one of the big reasons I was never interested in rogues, because you hit your stealth, it only lasts for, I don't know if it was permanent or not, but you were super slow, it wasn't really useful, you felt really squishy and not a lot of powerfulness. But I don't know, the stalker is just a lot of fun for me. I jump in, I murder things, I sneak around places. It's just, it's a fun mechanical experience for me, and that's what I really look for in games anymore.
It helps that they let you backstab things from the front, and with your starting stealth, your first attack's an auto crit. So at level 2, they start you with the ability to one-shot things.
Oh, yeah. An auto crit?
You feel insanely powerful as a stalker.
It's true, although I've already started noticing on my stalker that what I do feel is I feel like their energy regeneration mechanic is very slow. Maybe I'm a little bit too far out of playing a rogue in WoW, but that energy regeneration felt slow. Like I don't feel like I'm getting my Sinister Strike. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's basically
that isn't actually your Sinister Strike. That's your backstab.
It's my backstab and my Sinister Strike.
But because it costs so much, you really shouldn't use it from the front.
Well, it's costs 35, which is the exact same number for Sinister Strike. Well, wait, no, I don't actually think that's true. I think actually Sinister Strike costs 40, but there is a talent, or there used to be a talent. Oh, no. They've probably changed it since then, because that whole thing where they got rid of talent trees. There was a talent that reduced the cost of Sinister Strike's energy by 5, and it was like, if you are using Sinister Strike and not using this talent, please try again.
Yeah, I don't think that exists anymore. There's like a glyph or something that does something relating to Sinister Strike, but it's not the same.
Also, apparently Sinister Strike is currently 50 energy.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've played a rogue.
I think only combat rogues use it, if I'm remembering correctly.
Well, only combat rogues used it back then.
Well, that's true, but everyone had it.
Specifically, only combat swords rogues. Because combat daggers would use backstab.
Yeah, basically it's a combat thing, and they've got another type of strike that you keep up all the time, and then you use Sinister Strike between. I forget what it's called.
I do not know what it is called. I've not played
it's
rogue
like
since.
No, it's an armored debuff type strike.
It's not exposed armor.
Razor disc.
I don't know.
I was about to say no.
I leveled a rogue to 90 long enough to realize I didn't like playing a WoW rogue anymore.
It is. It's exposed armor, and it was never used because there was always a warrior sundering.
No,
it's
not
exposed armor. It's not exposed armor. It's called revealing strike.
There you go.
I had to look it up because I have not played a rogue since they added it.
I feel like I should let you know that all of my rogue information is up to date as of 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's started and stopped at Blackwing Lair.
No, it got all the way to Nexramus.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then I think I've come back and tried to play that rogue several times, and then I was like, oh, this feels terrible, and then stopped.
The most interesting thing to me about Wildstar is not necessarily how fun the game is, because it is. It's totally a fun game. But what I am seeing in the WoW community as a whole is I've not really seen this mass migration of players from WoW that are WoW lifers since probably Rift. Because the people that left to play SWTOR were really the same kind of people that left when Rift came out. I mean, there were the people that were dissatisfied with WoW and were looking for the next game for them to play. But what I'm seeing is there's a lot of people that are just washing their hands of WoW right now and going off and bringing the entire guild communities into Wildstar from WoW. And it's been a long time since I've seen that kind of thing happening. So there's a lot of people that are putting a lot of faith in this game, and I find that more interesting probably than the game itself, because we kind of switch out games every few months, but these are people like the stalwart WoW people that really only care about WoW. Then all of a sudden, they've switched religion to Wildstar.
Switched religion.
I mean, that's honestly the closest thing I can really equate I'm a WoW player and I only care about WoW is to almost a gaming religion. But I'm seeing a lot of people switch allegiances, and it's interesting. Do I think it's justified? I don't know. Do I think it will be a lasting thing? I don't know, but Wildstar brings a level of polish in some aspects to the game that I haven't seen in a long time as well. The animations are amazing, and for me, at least, I really didn't turn the corner on my feelings about this game until I started playing Achua.
Because Chua are the right choice.
It's
They are.
true.
They're like these demonically gleeful hamsters that are just awesome, and I'm surprised that I like the engineer as much as I do.
I'm not. It seems like your kind of class.
I tried so long to get into the warrior. I've tried every beta. I re-rolled a warrior, and I re-rolled him between the Exiles and Dominion, and nothing I did really seemed to make me just love that class, because at face value, it looks like a class I would love. Man, I like engineer. I don't know what it is about the class, but in part, I think it's the fact that I have really awesome bots that follow me around all the time, even though they don't really obey very well and they have some really lousy AI at times. It's fun to have an army of bots. But as far as other classes, I really haven't. I've played a warrior, I've played an engineer, Ray's playing a stalker. What other interesting classes are there?
I'm playing a spellslinger.
Medics are awesome.
Spellslingers are fun. They do a lot of upfront damage as well.
Yes.
A lot of upfront damage. They get to burst things down from range.
I was having some fun with an Esper.
So how does the Esper even play?
I don't really like Esper very much, but
It's a stand-and cast class. I haven't really. There's not much where you can cast and fight on the run.
at first.
Yeah, and it seems to me like you cast a bunch of spells in preparation. It's almost like the Saboteur from Rift. I have a Psy Blade that has 2 charges on it, and I hit it. It charges up for 4 seconds and then deals a bunch of damage in a straight line. So I can hit that and then start doing my main cast where I stand in place and shooting a long skinny beam. And then I do that twice. I do use my consumer, and then my Psy Blade goes off, and things are usually dead by then. It's like a rogue. It's got combo points that you build up and then use.
That's
For
a
whatever
class
reason.
that I probably would never play.
It's not a bell class.
No, it's not.
Spellslinger might be, though.
Spellslinger's
light
really
armor.
fun, actually. Like, I already like Spellslinger quite a bit. Right now, I have rolled a medic, a Spellslinger, 2 different warriors, and I haven't figured out which one I'm going to keep. Stalker and my engineer. And so far, I like the engineer the most. And I'm still kind of liking the warrior. I just don't know how much I'll actually play it. But as far as one of the things I think interesting right now is the fact that, already the game has 3 tanks and 3 healers. And I just find that interesting that, each of these classes that is a tank or a healer can also be something else and is supposedly pretty effective at it. So that's a mentality that I dig.
So I don't know if I could heal in this game because I play with
Healing
Steer.
in this game is... Well, all the heals are also skill shots. The
Yeah,
vast majority of
yeah,
them.
they totally are.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. There's no
Related?
spamming heals. And,
Dodging out of skill shots is a problem.
Yeah, but the cool thing is it's messaged well. So there's a big green thing on the ground.
There's about to
And-
be a heal here. You should probably stand here.
You should go move over to it.
Interesting.
Now the problem is going to be when a heal is landing and the boss's most horrible attack of all times is landing in the same area.
Oops.
Well,
Oops.
the healer
Yeah.
should have been able to prepare for that.
Well, if it's a medic, those are almost all either frontal cone or point blank, so they're probably pretty close, so they're moving too.
I feel like my engineer is finally getting to the point where I'm kind of tanky.
Kind of?
Yeah, I can survive far better than the rest of us when it comes to when we're out running around.
Doing
I
stupid
have
stuff?
way more survival than, say, Tam or Skopik was running around with me earlier, and
What class?
he was a spellslinger as well. So of
Spellslingers
course,
are kind of squishy.
of course, I have more health than them, but we rolled up on a boss, and I think a medic rolled up with. It was either a medic or a Healy spellslinger. I'm not sure which. I didn't pay enough attention.
Were there a lot of diamonds?
I don't know. It was some kind of a channeled heal thing.
Probably a medic.
But anyway, like, he was healing me, and I felt like I was freaking indestructible. I felt like the heavy from TF2 with a medic behind me, and it was fun. Like, I can totally see dungeon running like this is going to be enjoyable. And
I actually hear the first dungeons are extremely difficult for non-coordinated groups.
well, hopefully we will be able to run one of those and see what we think. But
I'm sure it'll be 20 eventually, but there's that whole stalling out at 14 thing that seems to happen.
Yeah, because at 14 you unlock Animal Crossing.
Yeah, Penny Arcade got that one right.
Yeah, they totally nailed that, because I already have all of these little mini games in my house and reasons for people to come over to them. So the housing is definitely a big aspect of what makes Wildstar fun. Because I know that basically drained Tam's bank account when the housing happened. So much so that he re-rolled his trade skills and now is going architect. Me, I seem to be decorating my house through murder, because I seem to be able to win housing items from the random challenges. But right now,
have insane luck in that respect.
I have a jumping puzzle. I have a weird little crater thing. I've got a garden. The only thing I've actually bought and placed is the Moonshiner's cabin and the mining node. But what's awesome about this is these little things have games associated with them, and eventually you can get a dungeon, an actual dungeon that happens in your sky plot.
Here you can also get portals to the raids in your housing.
Yeah, that's cool. And what's awesome about it is once you become neighbors with your guildies, you can pop back and forth between their houses freely. So, Tam and I have already talked to where, okay, so he's going to have the crafting table. Okay, well, I will do something else because we can pop back and forth and do whatever. So it makes it useful. You don't necessarily have to go to town once people have built out housing. Since you could teleport every 20 minutes to your house, I could definitely see this becoming a big thing. You want to be neighbors with people with, cool houses. Plus,
so is there a limit to how many neighbors you can have?
No clue.
I do not know. There doesn't look like an obvious limit, but there's probably a limit somewhere. So 100, 200 neighbors, something like that. But
yeah, but as long as there can be limits with everyone in the guild, I'll be happy.
Oh, totally, yeah. And you also get good buffs for going or logging out in your house. And the more you decorate your house, the stronger buffs you can get each day. So you pick from. Right now, I've just got 3 buffs. One's 5% questing and hunting experience. One of them's I don't know. There's 3 different buffs, and I pretty much always choose the experience buff right now. But eventually, it will become probably more buffs will open up that you can do.
And the more stuff you have in there, the more rested experience you gain while locked out in your house.
Yes, yeah, because I soaked up a bunch of rested last night, and it made my level go extremely quickly. Then, on top of that, if you bind an authenticator to your account, you can get a 2% experience bonus.
Really?
I'm a fan
Something
of that.
like that.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that, because the first time I saw something like that was with SWTOR, where they gave you something for putting an authenticator on your account. So, yeah, of course, I'm going to put one anyway. I like the fact that it gives me a bonus.
Well, WoW had the Corehound pup.
Yeah.
That was
Which
basically
was cool.
when I got an authenticator.
Because the Corehound pup was adorable.
Yes.
Okay, so
what paths are everyone?
I am an explorer, and I love explorer.
Really?
Yeah, I love the explorer. It's my favorite path. Mostly because, okay, so think about the way I played Elder Scrolls. I went off in a random direction doing things, usually. And explorer is all about going off the beaten path. And what's cool about it is, in Daradoon, the Chua and Draken starter zone, there's an entire area of the zone that you cannot get into unless you're explorer.
Which area are you referring to?
The Undercaves.
Ah, yeah.
There's
that shortcut through the entire zone.
Yeah,
You know where you're going.
Exactly. If you know where you're going, you can get across the entire zone super quick using this cave system underneath the zone.
So, you realize everyone predicted that you would be the soldier because you like killing things.
I know.
Yeah.
And actually, the soldier's cool and all, but it's the most
You already do enough
simplistic
killing
path.
things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need a reason to kill things.
It's not like we need a reason to murder everything.
But the soldier doesn't really give you anything. I mean, yeah, you can do these holdouts, but okay.
Holdouts are fun. I was playing through with Tam's character, and he was a soldier, and so we were doing the holdouts together, and they were fun. I did play as the scientist, though, and I had reservations initially about scientists, because I wasn't sure exactly if I would like it in
Scan
the end.
everything.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how I would feel about the whole scan everything, but then, so you're a scientist, right, Ash?
Yes, and then you ran into a puzzle.
Well, then I ran into the last boss of the Levian Bay, and I don't know if you knew this, Ash, but if you're a scientist, there's an alternate way to kill it.
I've not done Levian Bay as a scientist.
That you can, throughout the zone, discover it doesn't register as one of the things you have to get. It's just one of those little, here's an icon that says scientists can do something.
Yeah.
You don't have to get it to get zone completion, but it pops up a message talking about how the giant killbot has a kill switch on it, and the passcode is this. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then it was like, hey, you need to fight the killbot. And it was like, yeah. And Tam was telling me, yeah, everyone has to fight this thing. I was like, oh, well, 1 second. So I walk up to it, I scan it with my little robot, and it pops up a keypad. And if you type in the numbers, it stuns it for 5 seconds.
Which is probably long enough at that point in the game to just straight murder it.
So,
yeah.
Interesting thing about Explorer is we've found bosses out in the world that can only be spawned by an Explorer fiddling with interfaces. And they were like totally a world boss. It was like a Void Walker from hell.
That thing was rough.
It was rough, yeah. I mean, but the cool thing about it is like, okay, so Tor kind of did this in the dungeons, if you remember. Like, so if you had this trade skill, you could maybe skip this boss. But after a certain point, they stopped showing up. Like, it was only like the first few boss or dungeons that really had these cool little things in it. This game seems to be almost centered around the synergy between a scientist and an engineer, or a explorer and a settler and a soldier. So, like, you know, the scientist may unlock something that then the explorer can then unlock with his thing that the entire party can use for buffs when a settler does something. So it's really cool. Like, the settler thing is amazing in that, you know, they'll actually build these outposts out in the world, and okay, so they built a taxi, or they built a speed buff, or they built a healing station, or they build these little protective circles where the mobs won't come in there.
Settlers are awesome, but I don't think I'll ever be one.
Yeah, they're not really me, but I think it's an amazing concept.
I could try playing a settler. I think that's an interesting idea. So I do need to get an explorer or a settler or something, because there is a puzzle that the scientist solves that takes you all the way up to this area in Levian Bay. And as far as I can tell, there's nothing up there for me to do, but I can put other people on that transporter, and I'm wondering if there might be a settler and or a explorer icon up there.
I am sure there probably is.
It'd probably be explorer.
Yeah.
So we need to totally tag team and go up there and see if there's something interesting.
Sure.
But the thing is that's interesting to me, that these things are not just mini games, they're actually deeply ingrained into the entire game.
The path thing was actually what initially attracted me to Wildstar with its initial announcement. Because it's kind of codifying the Bartle test for MMOs,
Yeah.
at least attempting to.
It's their version of the Bartle test.
Is there any way to change your path once you started it?
No.
No.
It's locked to character creation.
So the idea is hopefully by like level 10 you'll figure out if you like your path or not, because getting to 10 doesn't take very long, but
Well, the second time or so.
yeah, I guess. I noticed that Levian Bay wasn't quite as annoying now that I've gotten used to the game more. But I just felt like Levian Bay and Elevar were bad zones to learn the game in.
That might be fair. I don't know. Levian Bay, I had a decent amount of fun with it. I haven't I got to the start of Elevar and I wasn't interested anymore.
I wish they differentiated between the gears of just something that you can interact with and something that you're supposed to interact with. Because that first night that I played with the Friends code, I was supposed to read the 3 books in the room for the Dominion start, but they had these displays with this information about these scenes and stuff inside the cases. And I was going around in a circle, and I was like, "Why isn't this completing? Am I supposed to do it in the right order? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1." I was losing my mind, and I didn't realize.
I did the exact same thing. Like the very first time I played, I kept going around the room trying to read the little kiosks and wondering why it wasn't completing me.
Very frustrating.
But I don't know. Like now that I've gotten used to it, and I really like the game. Like I think it's going to basically be my quote-unquote WoW game from now on. Because I find that I always want to play some kind of a WoW game, be it WoW or Rift or Tor or now Wildstar. And I think this game is going to fill that niche for a while. And then I'll have Elder Scrolls to satisfy the other kind of gaming niche that I always seem to hunt for as well. But I don't really plan on stopping playing either, at least not for the short term.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're probably stuck in the same holding pattern, Kodra, that I was, where it's interesting, but I didn't see what people liked about it yet.
That's entirely possible.
Because
I'm level 7 and I am bored.
I am level 7 and I am bored, and I haven't played since.
Yes, this is exactly what my entire beta experience was like. Yep. On both sides.
Get to level 7 or 8, zones. And like I just don't get it. I don't understand why people are raving about this game.
And when I was kind of meh on the game last week, I was level 7 and I was bored.
But here's the interesting thing.
It's really too bad.
Is I am totally down with going over there and mentoring down to you and running around with you.
They have a mentoring system?
Oh, totally.
Yes.
Yeah, you join.
And you get influence for your guild or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and
by grouping up and doing stuff.
I mean, that's a huge deal. Like that is one of the aspects that I think is super interesting is WoW never solved the problem of how do you make people want to group together.
Yep.
And that's a key fault.
Wildstar has very, very strong incentive for grouping with your guildies.
Right. That's how you earn stuff for your guild. That's how you get your guild bank. That's how you do the other stuff. And whereas WoW put in a guild system and put in guild currency and guild experience and all that stuff, they never incentivize grouping. Whereas, sure, you get, more guild experience or more cash for running a dungeon with at least 3 guildies in it. But this incentivizes everything. Just running around together killing mobs, you are earning... influence is the guild and renown is the personal? Is that how it works?
I think so.
Renown is personal.
But basically you have 2 different currencies. You have guild experience, theoretically, and then you have personal guild currency that you can then spend on things. Mostly housing, but still, it's cool stuff.
There are plenty of other things to spend renown on too, actually.
But
like potions to boost your XP.
But it totally gives you a tangible reason to say yes when somebody says, "Do you want to group up?"
That's cool.
And that's huge to me because so much of this game feels like it's trying to solve the problem of how to make people want to group together. So I like where they're coming from. I like, even if the game at times I don't quite get, I like their overall vision so far. Now, the only thing that's going to be probably a non-starter for me is raiding.
Because
you don't want to do 40-man raiding?
No, just because of the commitment to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you saw the infographic I linked in chat the other night, but it's like a 14-step process to get keyed.
12-step program to get into a raid.
So to be fair, I'm pretty sure it was like a 12-step quest chain to get into Anixia's lair.
Oh, totally. I mean, I have no problem with the attunement, mind you. I think it's good because that means that players will be ready by the time.
There are some skill checks in it, which is good.
We've said for a while that the gatekeeper in Secret World was one of the best things that it could have added in to prepare somebody for elite dungeons.
It's just too bad that it didn't actually prepare you for Nightmare Dungeons.
Right.
Yes, it did.
Well,
It gave you the message very clearly that you should be ranged or you should go away.
Oh, did it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that. I never did the DPS one.
Oh, the DPS one was...
You should be ranged or you should go away.
Yeah, it was...
You should be an elementalist, or you should go away.
So basically,
Also
you
that.
had to be at range the entire time. You couldn't allow this ad to touch you. And by the same time, you had to manage to keep a constant DPS or you died. And then there was a point of the fight where you had to interrupt him or you died. So
Also had
it
to
was...
dispel him or you died.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you had to dispel him and then interrupt.
Yeah, so basically it was for me it was a microcosm of every nightmare fight we fought.
That's fair. Yeah, that sounds like every Nightmare fight it's like you are this specific build or you go home.
Right, and that I feel like we had a lot more leverage with tanking. And I wish I could have gone back and done the tanking one.
Tanking
But
one was vastly easier than the DPS one.
They
Tanking one
only
was
let...
fine.
Well, I mean, okay, it took me
Although it
25
did require
tries.
tools I did not have.
It took me 25 tries to get through the DPS one. And
I think it took me 5 to get to the tanking one.
in part, that was partially because the only option I had to dispel was a 33% of the time proc.
But Bell, why didn't you go elemental like they wanted you to?
I was stubborn. I wanted to get through this with blades and shotgun. And I did. I beat it with blades and shotgun. And Warren, I think it took him like 36 times. And he beat it with pistol shotgun. But still, it was... You should have... I don't think you were around the weekend when we were cursing nonstop.
No, I was.
I was definitely around for that.
I was around. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Tanking took me like 5 tries. It was
Yeah.
fine.
Grumble, grumble, grumble. But yeah,
Even
it was,
Tam
it
didn't
was
really
maddening.
have too much of a problem with the healing one. The tanking one is
It was stupid.
the healing
but
one. The healing one is probably the funniest. The
Here's a
healing
party.
one,
They're all going to stand in the fire.
they're all going to stand in the fire. They're all going to do terribly stupid things. Keep them alive.
But
Um,
honestly, like, I am all about skill checks for getting into raids. As a raid leader, the hardest thing was telling someone that they were not tall enough to ride the ride. And it's hard to quantify to someone who doesn't understand why they can't go play with their friends. At least when you have a skill check like that that's hard and fast, it's beyond your control. It's no longer this raid leader hates me because he won't let me play. It's you have to get through this or you don't get the key and can't go in. And that's easier. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's easier on a raid leader than having to be the bad guy and say why they can't play along. But I just don't think I'm going to be hardcore enough ever again to really be a raider.
I could do it. I could do it with friends, but the problem is like, okay, so I could do it with. I like 10-man raids because I can find 10 friends to go raid with.
They have a 20-man raid.
They have a 20. Even finding 20 was going to be hard.
Yeah.
Like finding 20 people to raid with will be difficult. Like, I mean, we're gonna have to. It's gonna
Probably
have
going
to
to be more than just AOA.
So
Yeah, it's gonna have to be more than AOA.
Here's the thing: is I think this is going to, especially with the fact that they have circles, and that circles are chat channels that you have to be invited to. I feel like this is going to bring about a renaissance of non-guild based raiding again. And I invite that with open arms because the most
After
frustrating
WoW
time.
kind of killed it with the whole guild bonuses for stuff.
Oh yeah, totally. I loved Durnub. I loved LNR. I mean, they were fun to do. But I hated when WoW forced you into guild-based raiding to get anything.
Yep.
So hopefully there will be a less hardcore version of a raid that's more, come as you are.
And they don't intend to cater to that, really.
So
well, I'm not talking about low skill. I'm talking about, kind of the equivalent of OWL.
So
but-
how hard to be? Because if you recall correctly, Molten Core was not exactly that taxing. Like it required you to do a lot. It required you to do a lot of prep to get your raid up to it. Like getting past the second boss, Magmadar, required you to farm the first boss for a couple of weeks just so you could get enough trank shot tomes. But honestly, I don't remember those fights requiring a lot of coordination or skill. So
I don't know.
That brings me to my question of like, what are they going to expect from a 40-man raid? Because we like the only 40-man raid. Well, okay, there are
Max existed.
Nax. Yeah, Nax is exactly what I was going to point to. Nax was a 40-man raid that required a ridiculous amount of coordination, and it saw a very small amount of play as a result. Like, I mean,
I feel like that they are targeting the Nax audience.
That was a very small audience.
Yeah, but you gotta understand.
But a lot of people would like to be part of the Nax audience.
This is a thing.
Maybe they'll have one or two intro bosses that people can kill.
This is a thing that a lot of the community has pined for since Wrath. And I feel like some aspects of this game are definitely a love song to vanilla and BC era WoW.
See, I haven't pined for Nax at all. You know what? I pined for Blackwing Lair. Blackwing Lair was fun. Like, yeah, it had hard fights in it, but nothing to the level of if any single player screws up, the entire raid loses. That's what I recall from Nax.
I don't think anyone is raiding yet, so we don't know what it is, but I hope it's about Blackwing Lair-ish. I mean,
yeah.
to where it takes coordination and it takes planning and skill, but it's not mythic level raiding.
Well, that was the problem. Like, oh, shoot, what was the spider? Or Nubarak.
Yeah.
I always remember, like, yeah, Nubarak was if any single player dies, you lose. Yep. Because the spiderlings will overwhelm you. And
it was like, more a situation of if any more than one player dies at any given time.
Yeah, in a 40-man raid.
Right.
That was very frustrating because it was like, okay, suddenly a lot of people, it really did shine a big bright spot on all of your weakest raiders.
Oh,
and it was
totally.
really uncomfortable. It was a really uncomfortable moment in raiding because it's like, yikes, you guys keep dying, but we really like you, and you guys have been stuck with us throughout like the year leading up to this point, but I don't know if we can bring you along anymore.
It was like, kind of the beginning of you're bad, you should feel bad. I'm sorry we can't have you in our raid.
Yeah, but and that wasn't fun for me. Like, what was fun for me was like going through BWL. WL was a ton of fun for me because it like it's hard, but like you were beating things as a group, losing to things as individuals.
Right. And I mean, and honestly, like that era of 40-man raiding was that you needed 25 to 30 really with it players, and then the rest could catch up.
Yes.
They couldn't just be necessarily dead weight, but they had time to ease into that role.
Yes.
But
yeah, we could spend a whole podcast of these talking about the various raids in Vanilla WoW.
Yeah, and at this point we've gone an hour. Already.
Oh, yeah. Although I would like to start something.
Yes.
Because this is always going to be fun, and there's probably some dead space that we need to edit out. But so who's watched any LCS this week?
Me.
I actually attempted to, and lasted about 15 minutes.
So, and maybe I'm only bringing this up because the team that I sort of follow is hilariously at the top of the brackets, but man, well, I actually didn't get the chance to watch them on Friday, but man, Super Hot Crew looks good this year.
They are doing surprisingly well. I'm impressed.
You just like the name.
Still cracks me up.
Yeah.
Super Hot Crew.
I feel like
XD.
that name is similar to my love of Chua.
Oh,
just
I
because
love
it's so weird that you gotta love it.
I actually also love both Team Rocket and their previous name, which is Polish. It's KMT, but it's Polish for once we were a team, and I thought that was a very clever name. But no, like I got to. So one of my purchases this week was a Roku device, and apparently Roku Roku does not support this, but you can create custom channels for Roku, and somebody
Yes.
created a unofficial Twitch channel, and so
Oh,
I've been
sweet.
watching League of Legends LCS games on my big screen, which is a lot of fun.
See, that was the thing that I loved finding out about the Chromecast, is there is a unofficial Chromecast app for Twitch where you can stream it in all its glory to your television. So I don't watch LCS over it, but I watch all sorts of other stuff over Twitch.
Yeah, you should watch some LCS. We talked about
I
the
tried
games.
this week. I did, and I just couldn't get into it. Like, okay, yeah. The commentators were funny.
Commentators are funny. It's probably, and people who don't like puns would probably disagree with me, but one of their best commentators is Freak, and he's moved to the challenger scene almost exclusively.
Actually, I don't think I was watching LCS. Now, come to think of it, I think I was watching ECS. Is there like it was some kind of European league?
European LCS?
Okay, maybe
LCS EU.
Okay,
Yeah, they have.
That's what I was watching.
So the schedule is EU is Thursday and Friday, and NA is Saturday and Sunday.
Unless
Okay.
it's a super week, in which
Unless
case
it's a super week, yes.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is Europe, and Friday, Saturday, Sunday is NA.
Yeah.
I
How
will
about that?
endeavor to watch some now that I'm getting back into League. Maybe it will make more sense, but I just don't have the sports fan gene. I don't like. I never have really enjoyed watching people do something. It just makes me want to do that thing myself.
And anyone want to comment on Cloud9 being 4th place and TSM being 5th place right now?
I'm a little disappointed in Cloud9, but I don't know.
They're going full CLG. Obviously, they'll beat CLG tomorrow because they're at the top.
Because CLG's at the top now?
Oh, they overtook Dignitas?
Well,
I missed
They
today's
beat
games.
Dignitas today.
So
Crazy.
Dignitas, CLG, and LMQ are all tied for first.
Wow.
Yeah, and EG, Complexity, and Curse are all tied for last.
Oh, yeah, I'm sad about Complexity. I really wanted them to do well.
If
They
you
won
like
today.
Complexity, you should watch today's game. It was impressive.
It was? Okay, I'll make sure to go watch it.
Like, it's not exciting other than, like, if you're a Complexity fan or you're a fan of just watching a team methodically do everything right. That's sort of what Complexity did.
Robert X. Lee was one of the first streamers I ever watched, so I like watching him do well.
Robert X. Lee gets super fed.
That's awesome. He's a really good ADC. Whenever they subbed in for EG that one week, Dexter tried to ninja gank him, and Robert turned it around and killed Dexter. It was glorious.
So what happened is, they have a substitute for their jungler, but both jungler and support got rushed a site ward, and they basically could see the entire dragon pit, and Curse could see none of it.
Gotcha.
And that was basically the story of the game. Like, the vision was so overwhelmingly on the side of Complexity that game.
Well, that's one of the trends that I've been noticing, is that the teams that focus more on vision and plot out the map tend to do better.
That's because they can force catches and they can avoid catches, and that's how you win games.
Yep.
Or they can just take free objectives. Like, that's what happened this game, was like Curse never walked into a blind spot. Like, Curse actually had that discipline down. Well, except for a really ill-advised Pantheon man drop. There was a. Did you see the game, Ash?
I did not see the game.
There was a Pantheon man
And there
drop
was weird
into,
things like mid Annie. So I wanted to see the game, but I have not done it yet.
Who did mid Annie?
Like,
Probably.
Probably did mid Annie. It was an interesting pick. Like, he definitely, man, they were focusing Annie down. Like, Curse, he died a whole bunch, but there was
He died fewer times than Yasuo.
Yasuo had problems. Yeah, Yasuo dived in a lot. But mid Annie, there was a whole bunch of times where he would just get a 4-man Tibbers and then die, but 4-man Tibbers is enough to win a team fight.
Yeah. Well, and as Annie, you kind of paint a target on your back because you're this walking cannon that only walks and has no escape.
Yes.
Okay.
And that combo.
Whereas,
That's probably enough League for one night.
Yeah, we're roughly 10 minutes over now, so, and I need to go walk my 2.5 miles. It's a good show. Let's do the whole where can we find us? Kodra, start it off.
I'm at Kodra22 on Twitter.
Ash.
I'm on Twitter at hidden_wings, and I have a blog at ashfang.com.
Ray.
Well, I'm picking up my blog again. It's littlerayofsun.com. Ray, as in my name, R-A-E. And hopefully I'll get a Twitter handle at some point, but nothing at the moment.
But now you're doing Friday Chibis, which the first one was awesome. Hopefully you'll keep that up, because
I've been trying to do
I
waffles
enjoyed it.
this week.
For me, I am Tales of the Aggernaut, aggernaut.com. I'm at Belghast on Twitter and Belghast on Twitch. Also, Belghast on Anook. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
See you.
See ya.
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 See you.